Chris. It's pleasure to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Very good, actually. Thank you. Very good. Now, we know each other through mutual friends. I said to one of my buddies, who's the best scientist that you've ever met? And they said you. So here we are.
That's flattering. But yeah, I'll try our best to meet up to your expectation.
My standards are very low, Samba. Other people's are very high. So you're speaking about today, you blew my mind with something. I'm going to do my best to replay what I heard. And I know you've got a couple of visuals to explain some of this stuff. So thank you for being organized. But you said to me, along the themes of reimagining artificial intelligence, which is, your area of expertise, you said to me, people think AI is about experience and knowledge, but actually what it is an opportunity to delve into objective reality. It's a chance to hold up a mirror. And it had me thinking of all great science fiction works and books that I've read about what AI actually is. And I know you've got a visual on this. I'd love you to pop it up so people who see this can see it.
Let me share my screen.
Yeah, thank you, my friend. I'd love for you to explain for me and help others hear about your view on those three axes: experience, knowledge, and objective reality. If you don't mind.
Yep. I hope you can see my screen, Chris.
I can. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So I'm a movie buff, so I'd like to use movies to explain the concepts more often than not. So typically we watch movies in 2D, right? There's a 2D screen where we watch. And whenever we watch movies in 3D, it gives a different feel or a different perspective. And also we can feel engrossed into what's happening there. So always 3D movies are better to watch as an experience of movie going as compared to a 2D experience. So in our lives, whatever decisions we take or whatever approaches we take are also based on the two dimensions, which I call as a knowledge dimension and an experience dimension. So a knowledge dimension, like we go to different schools, learn our professional skills, and also we read books and we collect a lot of theoretical inputs, talking to friends and other communities. And as a tribe, wherever we belong to, like, for example, doctors have their knowledge base, lawyers have their knowledge base, and so on. So that is a knowledge dimension. And there is also an experience dimension where we put the knowledge into use and we develop the experience of what works, what doesn't work in different scenarios, situations. And so these are the two dimensions which typically we use. And that is the way the knowledge has grown over decades and centuries in our world. But now there is a new possibility that has come, which I call as an axis of objective reality, because I can also challenge my thought process with a third dimension, which is what one possible way of developing this objective reality is through AI. Because the objective reality is going to give me a mirror to reflect not only of my own knowledge or my tribe's knowledge or my own personal beliefs or the group's beliefs, the organization's beliefs, and so on, but I can reflect on a more robust global data set or knowledge base, and I can also use it as a sparring partner. So this is my personal belief, or this is what, as a tribe of lawyers, as a tribe of say medical practitioners, this is what we believe. So what is this objective reality saying from a global perspective? Now, this objective reality may reflect a different picture than what I know. So that gives me an opportunity to go back and look at my knowledge and also my experience and reconfigure once again. Or the objective reality may be supporting my point of view. So in that case, again, my knowledge and experience get strengthened. And with our own knowledge and experience, we can also add to the objective reality, and that means the global conscience, so to say. So which would also build a different, we can also contribute to the global, say, knowledge base. So
mm,
the objective reality is going to add to the knowledge and experience. The experience would add to the objective reality and knowledge, and the knowledge would also add to these three. So this is the emerging possibility that has come because of the AI, because
mhm,
never before in the history where we could bring all the data, insights, knowledge into one particular piece and
mhm,
then make it accessible not only to select few organizations or individuals, but it is made globally accessible to every
mhm,
one of us, theoretically speaking. Yeah.
mhm. I just love it. I really do. And you got me straight away, which is, obviously why I want to talk to you again today. It reminds me of, as I said, beginning science fiction books that I read, and one in particular about this AI that's not malevolent, but it is bitter about its interpretation of the accumulative knowledge of all of mankind for all of history, and the AI is bitter. Um,
Yeah.
so I always mention in my podcast there's an author called Adrian Tchaikovsky, who is a British sci-fi writer that I really love. So my question is about objective reality. What are the chances that the AI or an AI of amalgamated knowledge, whether it's a whole global data set or a tribe, as you call them, a tribe of lawyers or whatever,
Yeah.
is going to, be objective? Is that even possible? Is it subjective realities from those who have input the data? This is the thought that I had. I was playing around with over the weekend, excited to talk to you. Like,
Yeah.
how objective could it really be? And even if it is objective, isn't it based on human human endeavor to this point in time?
True. So, because human knowledge is surely evolving with time, right? And because there is no absolute objective reality that we can get for sure, because the human conscience as a whole is evolving with time. But the objective reality is what I would say is that instead of bias based on our own close circle, what we know of, how can we see things from a global perspective and also continue to add to this, say, the knowledge base, so that as a community, as a global community, we evolve. And also, if I can add um, in my slide, so we have,
Mm,
um, say, two ways we can see the AI emerging, right? So one I
mhm,
call as a data-centric AI, and the other I call as human-centric AI. So these
mhm,
come from the basic questions of will AI make my life easy, or would it reduce my effort, or will it make me do things in a very easy to manner on an automated manner? So that is
mm,
one part of the question. The
mm,
other part of the question is going to be, will AI enhance or augment our intelligence? Because we talk
mhm,
about artificial intelligence, but
mhm,
what is it going to do for human intelligence? Will AI
mhm,
going to
mhm,
make us a better human, intelligent human, or
mm,
will AI make us less intelligent? Because I'm going
mm,
to give all my tasks to AI, so I'm going to lose skills. If I can
mhm,
just give a small example, right? I'm sure in
mhm,
Australia or any part of the world, 100 years before, or maybe 150 years before, everyone would know how to ride a horse. Now,
mhm,
riding horse is a hobby, right? Very small
mhm,
percentage
mhm,
of population knows it, because as humans, we have lost the skill of riding a horse, right? I can enumerate whole number of things, the skills that human as a whole, human as a society, we have lost skills because we could have automobiles, and these
mhm,
automobiles are able to make us go from one place to another place easily. So it makes our life easy, but it also results in loss of skills.
mhm,
But similarly, now if we start using AI to think for us, then we may
mhm,
also eventually end up losing thinking skills, which is going to be
mhm,
more detrimental to us as human society. So, to coming back to these two different points of view, the data centric AI is always going to make simple decisions very easily, right? For example, on a jovial note, um, like Netflix gives me recommendations, right, of different based on my history of whatever I watched in Netflix. Netflix gives me, say, for you, like you may also want to watch these stuff. They don't need to be 100% accurate, right? Even maybe 60% accuracy is good enough to hook me into Netflix and make me watch. And even the 40% of the not so accurate recommendations may make me watch a new genre which I never watched before. Maybe I didn't like Korean series. Now, after Netflix recommending me in a wrong way, I may still end up watching Korean serial, which is going to be better for Netflix because I'm hooked onto a new, um, say, genre, which is good for Netflix overall business. So some of these recommendation engines, or automation, or even in e-commerce and other space, can be done in a data-centric AI very, very easily. But we cannot say the same for a medical practitioner using AI. If a doctor is going to use AI to detect, say, cancer tumors which are in the very nascent stage, or the doctor going to use it for identifying certain problems in the body, like to do MRI scans using AI, or a mine operator is going to take decisions on, say, where to drill or where to blast, or a refinery operator taking decisions to run the refinery, or a steel industry person, or say an atomic power station, where there are going to be major high risk, high value decisions when people take. We cannot just depend on data alone. And one more thing I would like to add is that many of the data or data-based AI algorithms, they think that humans do not know anything. So we have data, and then using this data, you go and predict. But we humans have worked for maybe at least 10,000, 20,000 years. Our knowledge has grown. Even whatever processes, like for example, an atomic power station, we may have decades of experience running those say operations. We may have decades of experience running say a mine. So how do I bring that experience also into an AI algorithm so that the AI algorithm reflects the objective reality in a better way as compared to using only the data? Because the data has the basic measurements of what we have in our real world, but it lacks the knowledge, the expertise that we have built, and also the experience of what would work, what would not work in our world. So that explicit knowledge embedment is what I'm recommending or suggesting or advocating for a human-centric AI, wherever the decision making is going to be risky, as well as the cost of a wrong decision is going to be catastrophic.
So human-centric AI for risky decisions, or where a decision could be catastrophic. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, where we won't be able to even get a tiny bit of error not acceptable. Right?
How do you? I mean, I wish we were here in person, by the way, because there's so many questions I have about this. You know, but something this slide and your words are making me think, and again, I know it's slightly off topic for what you and I spoke about when we spoke in the past. Are you familiar? I just had to look up the name because I was having a mental blank. Talk about AI affecting your life and then not having memory recall. You know, I find that sometimes of myself. You know, like recall. I find so it's on this topic that we're talking about now. You know, you like almost become lazy because you don't have to remember everything because things are automated. And ironically, I had to look up the name of the author because I didn't have the recall, so I had to look it up on my laptop here. Yuval Harari and Homo Deus. Have you come across that book? Have you read it? Just wonder, the concept in it is that you know, rather than AI, I'm explaining this really badly, by the way. Rather than AI or humans evolving on a separate path, they evolve into one path, and rather than them being two entities, they're both an augmented entity of each other. And
Homo Deus.
Homo Deus,
Homo
yes,
Deus.
exactly. Thank you. Yes,
Homo
thank
Deus
you.
by Yuval Harari.
Yeah, I wondered if you think that is a likelihood. I mean, and the reading on the book is very much like we're already there. You know, mobile phones to augment knowledge, and computers and laptops, everything else. You know, like we're already merging together, and so that we won't be separate. We'll be together. And some of the best science fiction books I have read talk about this concept, right? Augmenting ourselves in that way. That seems like the most likely combo. I wonder if so your visual here, Dr. Samba, is making me think of human AI and Homo Deus. So do you have a view on that and the way that will evolve? I mean, I know that wasn't the topic at all, so sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah. Okay. So the technology is neither good or bad, right? It is actually the application that makes it good or bad. For example, like gun or knife can be used for good purpose as well as wrong purpose. So, because I was recently reading an article where the both hands amputated person can have artificial hands, and those hands can be used with brainwave mapping, where this person can actually have a near perfect life as if this person has hands, right? So this is one such example where the so-called the AI augmented human is going to have a normal life, right? So this is surely something very positive, something that should be supported and welcome and developed. But similarly, the AI can also be used for detrimental purposes in the future. So that is where the AI governance, the thought leadership, and also the governments and other organizations taking and the society at large to come up with the governance and operating model for this technology. The current challenge is that the technology is developing so fast, and the capability is being displayed at ever increasing speed. The governance and the thought leadership, they are trying to catch up to this speed. So that's why, there are going to be some developments in this space, right, where people are going to make the human embedded with AI. Loosely, I'm calling this word embedded. But what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, what is ethical, what is not ethical, we as a society needs to evolve and build this conscience as quickly as possible, so that we can leverage this technology in the rightful, meaningful, and enriching manner for all the humans on the planet.
All right, yeah, well said, I think, Dr. Samba. How do you, if you could wave a magic wand to build that conscience as a society and establish a framework of governance and thought leadership, like how? So we have a human-centric AI standpoint. What would that one be? Like, how do you create that magic? How do you do that now so we don't end up looking back and going, well, that was a disaster? Like, what do you have a view on that?
Yep. Surely we need to keep the human at the center, because AI and human, if you keep it like AI is something that is going to do or make humans do their jobs easily or effectively. These are two different questions, right? Because whether I want to do my job easily or I want to do my job effectively, right? These are the two different questions we need to understand. Maybe I would just take you through this one particular slide.
Yeah, thank you.
For any organization or even for individuals, right? So we have two pyramids. So one I would call as an asset pyramid. If we say data is an asset, then we have data, and then from data we build information. From information, when we put that information into actual use, we may develop knowledge. And this knowledge, when we master it, we put to use across the organization or across a tribe or group of people. It becomes expertise, and eventually it may lead to developing the path changing or evolving new wisdom. So this is typically the asset pyramid. As we can see, we have a lot of data, less information, less knowledge, less expertise, and obviously less wisdom around. But the value pyramid is always inverted. So if someone works only with data or information, we would be just providing information as a reactive manner. Okay, I may have the data, but I don't know what to do with that. But with knowledge, we can do improvements, and with expertise, we can bring in efficiency. But only with wisdom, we can actually transform or develop that into a key differentiator, both for individuals or for organizations and for society at large. So, and this value pyramid, the higher value cannot be realized unless we bring in humans into the loop. Because if I just rely on data or information, I'm not going to get the highest possible value. And typically, the algorithms have been designed in such a way that only the data is consumed, right? There is no, the knowledge or the expertise is used to verify whether the prediction by the algorithm is okay or not. But with Gen AI coming in, there is also a possibility to embed knowledge, right? So that, like, surely the new AI algorithms have helped build the knowledge into this loop. But we still need to push this further. I personally believe that what we have seen so far in the AI world and with Gen AI and all the wonderful things that we have seen demonstrated, it is just the tip of the iceberg, right? There is more yet to come. And the individual organizations or the societies that leverage this and develop the next wave of human-centric AI solutions are going to be the market leaders or the leaders of or leaders of conscience who would take the human society the next level.
Just want to repeat that. So human-centric AI organizations will be the market leaders.
Yep. Because that is only when we have those knowledge and experience embedded explicitly into those algorithms, only then we can actually do transformation key differentiator. If I can just take a detour, right? The adoption of an AI methodology or an algorithm is going to be faster when the user has the confidence that whatever I have in my mind is what I see predominantly in the AI algorithms results. So I have a fair confidence or trust built, right? And this continuous evaluation of questioning and seeing and building this trust is what is going to make people adapt AI algorithms. Otherwise, if people feel that, no, this is not going to be helpful or this is going to make me redundant, then the adoption is not going to be that fast or effective. So it is always important to bring in the human into the loop and develop a human-centric AI where the AI is going to make the human more effective, take effective decisions, valuable decisions, manage risk, bring more value to the job as well as to the individual. So those are the design factors that need to be considered when one brings AI into any organizations or society.
You just on that, and again, there's so many rabbit warrens I could go down here, Dr. Samba. Just on those last words that you were saying there, and thank you for, I know there's no easy answer to any of these questions, but you just said something that made me feel about a natural tension, right? You said that people need to be able to look at the algorithms and understand what it is so they can build up trust, build up trust in it. And then, but people also need to see that this AI won't replace them. And so there's a tension there, right? Because how does one validate what you're seeing in an algorithm if it's outside my core knowledge and trust it? How do I do that? And when I see that, how do I not fear that I'm going to be replaced? If it's a data and then an information and then at the knowledge layer, because you're already talking that data is pushing up, so AI is pushing up the asset pyramid, and therefore it's pushing up the value pyramid as well. We're seeing that. So the question is, how do I validate it if it's outside my paradigms of knowledge? And then surely it's obvious for me to feel fear in some of those things. And I do deeply acknowledge what you said about wisdom, being a human-centric thing. But I can see that this, I can see those things in what you're saying. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. The question.
Yeah. So eventually, the AI would develop in both spheres, that is the data-centric sphere as well as the knowledge-centric sphere. And some of the mundane tasks, repeated tasks, which are low risk, inconsequential on our day-to-day life, but today we end up doing it because there is no other way we do that no other way of doing that particular task, right? So these tasks can be surely automated so that the human, as a society, we have more time to think, more time to do those important things we need to do as society. Because typically in organizations or also as individuals, we end up doing a lot of mundane tasks because we need to do it, but it takes time to do it. For example, writing an email to you, right? Because I need to say write the formal in a formal way. I need to write the email. I need to capture all those points. I have the thoughts. Now I need to think how to put that into a proper email, explaining my idea to you, right? This is then the thought of developing that email content is important, but writing that email may not be that important, right? If I have an easy way to write that email to you, it would be much more easier. So the AI cannot replace the thought that I have to construct that email, but it can help me write that email in a easy to it once and then send it, right? So some of these tasks will be automated, or we can leverage AI. So once we have more time available, then it is up to us humans, what are we going to do with this time, right? In our job, some of these mundane tasks are done easily. So I have, say, 2 hours per day extra time. So what do I do with that time, right? So here is where even the organizations need to learn and also develop some experiments to see how best we can bring in human ingenuity to leverage the productivity, leverage the transformation, or improve the effectiveness of different roles, so that people have more, the time is well spent on important things rather than doing mundane things. And it also all of us need to also get upskilled, because when we have been spending our time doing some of the mundane stuff, so now I have time. So how do I better utilize this time doing a value-added, important, and most effective, path-breaking tasks that I can do for my job, and also for the organization, and also for the society. So this is where the diversion of our intellectual effect or effort can be done, right? So that is going to be the transformation the society and the organizations will have to take forward, in my view. I don't think we have all the answers, right? How best we can do it, but we have to collectively think and also do those little experiments and figure out what is it that we can do to make our lives better or also our organizations effective and so on. So we need to start thinking, and also we need to start experimenting or practicing some of this as we have the adoption of AI, as we increase this adoption.
Yeah. I think there's a point I'd like to make here for anybody who's still listening to this. Dr. Samba and I are intentionally not talking about what he does or specifically who he does it for. And the only way to know of how this is practically done, rather than just a motherhood way, is to talk to Dr. Samba or to reach out to me, and you can make a connection, because I know, Dr. Samba, you have deep knowledge in how to make this practical, right? I just want to make sure I caveat everything that we're saying here. This is not an academic pursuit in your hands. It is a very practical, deeply rooted progression with these things, and that's one of the things I love about talking to you. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that we're not having an academic conversation here, but intentionally talking around things. But I will move on to something you talked about when we spoke last, and this is more an observation. I would love to think that humans, as industrious as we are, will work out how to upskill and spend time. And of course, I'm a future. I believe in the future. I believe we'll work that out. I do believe in a Deus type reality. I do think in that combination of machines and humans. I do. Makes me think of the Borg from Star Trek. But anyway, but I do wonder, with all revolutions, whether industrial or political, or societal, they do come with pain. And I'm thinking about the social miasma. That's, to me, there seems to be a social miasma. People seem to be, I wouldn't say bored exactly, but maybe more I observe of, the societies that I live in, that there is a change in speed. There is a miasma. Maybe people are looking for meaning and in different things. And I wonder, with the advent of radical technologies like AI, we're in for more pain before we get more benefit. And maybe I'm reading too many dystopian books, Dr. Samba. I don't know, but I just think there's something in there that I can't shake, with how people, use that time wisely. And I love the idea that organizations will do the altruistic things and learn how to use people's time well. But I can't help thinking employment pain will come through this as well. And I'm already seeing it. I already see it in, obviously we're a technology consultancy, but I see that pain already in organizations that are trying to work out how they navigate this. And, there's genuine fear of job losses because of this, in certain domains, not all of them. Anyway, that was more an observation. Unless you'd like to share anything, because I would like to move on to something you said to me earlier. If that's okay, unless you have any particular thoughts you have on that.
Yep. I just on what you just mentioned. I trust humans. Right? We as society have been evolving and coping, and also continuously pushing boundaries. Right. So, and we are very good at learning new skills. And I'm sure that when we face challenges, we always find ways of managing them and also overcoming them successfully, and also taking the next big leap with that. So I trust humans, and I'm sure that we would find a way of improving our effectiveness very, very quickly. That is my personal belief. And you also briefly talked about how can we actually make it less of an academic process and more of really making it happen. So maybe this is a very busy looking slide, but humans can contribute to AI. Like, again, I've just captured 10 different possible ways. If you look at the pyramid, so right from identifying basic patterns or rules, right? Because we know how to brake the car when we go in the highway, when we see
Mm-hmm.
someone crossing or some animal crossing, we know we have a mental model of applying the brake. We don't just stop everything, stop hard braking and stop the car. We kind of gradually brake, and we see the response and so on. So this can be a very good input to self-driven cars, because
Mm-hmm.
self-driven cars today, that algorithm is manually being using data. They were trying to build it, but nowadays the algorithm learns from humans, and then humans are actually contributing to the rules as well as developing the patterns, right? So that is where the self-driven car has become much better, when they started moving towards a human-centric AI rather than data-centric AI, which was the initial development phase. And similarly, we can do
Mm-hmm.
data enrichment. We have better understanding of the data that we generate. So we can always do data enrichment in different ways. I've captured in purple what are the possible ways we can do. Similarly, we can also hypothesize as well as validate the predictions or the decisions given by the AI, so that we can give that
Mm-hmm.
as a feedback loop to AI, so that the AI can take the human insights and go back and revalidate. And we
Mm-hmm.
also knows how to direct the AI to the larger objectives and goals, because it is
Mm-hmm.
always the humans who give the objectives and goals to the AI. And we can
Mm-hmm.
continue to refine the goals and objectives, and we can help the AI learn better with those goals and objectives. And most importantly, humans have this creativity, right? As I was talking to
Mm-hmm.
you the other day, we have the imagination to be in Mars. And if you ask any even school going kid, right, or maybe a fifth grader, you go and ask, imagine you are in Mars, write an essay on that, right, or write a paragraph about that. The child would write, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we have this curiosity and imagination, and the imagination to imagine things that, or imagine about stuff, or keeping us in the center of the imagination in unseen environments, situations, and even challenging physical laws, right? Like, like that's how the characters like Spider-Man are come, right? Who can just walk, defying gravity.
Mm-hmm.
We have Iron Man, we have Superman. So all those different characters that we have are all characters that have come born out of our imagination. So we have this
Mm-hmm.
imagination. Even all the technologies that we have, right? The aircraft was born out of human imagination of how to fly, right? The ships were
Mm-hmm.
built based on human imagination of how to sail. So these are all the technologies that we have are all human imaginations, and never before humans these things existed in our planet. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is the fantastic possibility which the AI doesn't have. AI doesn't have an imagination capability, or it cannot come up with scenarios that it has never seen before. And humans can do it very effectively. And these imaginations of the new reality, new realm of possibilities, are the ones that humans can significantly contribute to AI, so that the AI can learn from humans and test it in its environment and also provide suggestions. So this is, again, I'm showing a pyramid. So the higher we go, the more value we as humans will add to AI and also for our own lives. And then here we would be the center of the creation, and we would be creating the new possibilities and scenarios. On the right, I've shown a typical CRISP DM methodology. Typically, any development of AI solution would follow. And I've also typically, roughly shown where the AI human interactions can take place and how this can collaborate. But again, these are not exhaustive methodologies. We are evolving newer possibilities and methodologies. And in the months and years to come, we would have more possibilities to interact and also contribute to the AI, and also learn from AI and revalidate some of our thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Questions on my mind. It's one of the things I love about these meetings and why I like to do this, because I feel like I learn so much. I'm so stimulated by it. But I was listening to podcast on the weekend. Sam Harris, and it was about free will, and that there is no such thing to drive free. There's no such thing as free will. It's all a program, give or take. I know I'm equating it to this, and if free will is the engine of imagination, as previously thought, but then there is no free will, then you're making me think. Well, maybe AI has as much free will as we do, and as much imagination as we do, and therefore is just as capable as the type of what we call imagination at some point, if there's no such thing as free will. But I'm such a rookie in these thoughts, and it was someone that sent the podcast to me, actually. He said, take a look at this, I think it will appeal. In fact, I think the words were, take a look at this and let's discuss next time I see you. Because your view that actually you said these words to me, and I'm going to quote you because I really love it. You said AI can't have flights of imagination, as the summary, and if that imagination then is net leads to net new creation. Let's say that's the extension of net new creation for imagination. I'm like, I feel surely it can. Surely we're not that different ourselves if there is no free will. And I know that's a philosophical conversation, not a scientific conversation, unless you include philosophy and science, which you're the expert of, not me. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? I feel like you're educating me here, Dr. Samba, so thank you. Do you have any thoughts on that concept which I'm trying to learn and practicing articulating? Do you have some views?
Yep, your questions also make me think, right? I'm also learning, and I'm some of the questions we never discussed before, so I'm thinking as I speak. See, in my view, free will is always going to be in an ecosystem. So there is no absolute free will where one person can just think and make it happen, right? Because there is going to be the free will. The larger society is always going to be free will in an ecosystem, and situations, the opportunities, as well as the time that we live in, make some of those free will based realities happen. And also, if it is only one person's idea, it is not going to stick around, right? Many times, more often than not, those ideas get squashed by the time of, and then we don't see that anymore. But when the time of an idea has come, and it is kind of coherently aligned with the larger society goals and objectives, then that idea kind of grows and becomes the next paradigm. So whether this becomes a new paradigm that we are going to face and we are going to live in is going to depend on how all of us come together, define what is going to be and how it is going to be leveraged, and how it is going to be governed, and also how we need to build a development, and how the society is going to adapt. So as human society, we need to come collectively, and then we need to make this happen. So the ability of the human society to come together and shape technologies have been phenomenal in the past, right? Every major technological breakthrough has gone through the shaping and experimenting, and also choosing what is right and what is not for the society. So I'm fairly certain that this is also going to happen for this field as well. So humans would surely make sure that this is actually for the collective good for the planet. But there is going to be there is going to be a path to that, and the path is not well laid out. So there are going to be experiments, there are going to be some slip-ups, but I'm fairly certain that eventually we would arrive, like we have done umpteen number of times in the past.
I like that. There is a path to good, but the path is not clear yet.
Yep.
I love it. Yeah. Okay. Talked about objective realities and subjective realities. We talked about assets and value pyramid. We talked about flights of imagination, and these are the themes that I wanted to cover. Human-centric and data-centric AI. We talked about social miasma caused by people being bored. These are some of the themes that are on my mind. The convergence of AI and human species into Deus. Talked about there's a couple of things here. Organizations and people focusing on what they will do with time and how to upskill themselves, organizations and individuals, so they stay relevant. Because the real clincher is that you're saying, and I really like it, in the visual, the inverted pyramids you showed me, where the organizations that have the ability to take knowledge and turn it into, up to scale into wisdom,
Yep.
are those that have the ability to remain relevant, have transformational, offer transformational services, or whatever the right term is, but be transformational and create benefit.
Yeah.
I really, there's so many things that land there for me. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that's on your mind, or anything that prompted by the questions that I formed, Dr. Samba? Because I'm very mindful of your time. You've been very generous, and I'm grateful for the time that we've had. Is there anything else that we should cover?
Yep. If I can just talk about one last thing.
Please, yeah.
Basically, I just want to say that I initially talked about efficiency and effectiveness, right? Efficiency is nothing but the effort is going to be reduced, right? The human effort will be reduced, and we would do with little, and we'll do the most, right? So that is efficiency for me. And effectiveness is nothing but how we as humans become better, right? We talked about I have spare time. Now, how do I use my spare time? Or I do this role in the particular organizations. How do I make my role more effective so that I add value to me as well as to the organization in a much more comprehensive manner? So efficiency is always about effort, and effectiveness is how we enrich our role, our lives, and also our society. So when we talk about the efficiency-based AI models, data alone is enough. So we pump in data, like bigger the data, more will be the complexity of the AI algorithms, and the more will be its opacity. We will not know how it does and what it does. And then we can come up with decisions and insights. And with those insights, we can have a feedback loop and enrich the data, and the data can go and predict, right? So this is a typical way AI models are built. But if you want to talk about effectiveness models, here the human knowledge needs to be explicitly embedded in the AI algorithm, not as a feedback loop alone, because this explicit word is very important. So we need to make the human knowledge explicitly available. This human knowledge can be in the form of equations, it can be in the form of knowledge, say nuggets, or it can be in the form of guiding and coaching the algorithm. So it can come from different ways, but we need to continuously evaluate how human knowledge can come and be explicitly embedded in the AI algorithm. So the data and the knowledge go together into the algorithm. So the knowledge is very much part of the data set. And then we can come up with decisions and also augment the human decision making, which goes back into the feedback loop. And we know whether it's enough or not enough, or can we push it further. Then we can enrich the data as well as the knowledge. And this is what I talked about, the 3D movie example. So this feedback loop becomes the axis of objective reality, and that can enrich the knowledge as well as the experience that we have. Together with the data, it can go back into the AI loop and make it better. And this approach is very much needed for any mission critical applications that we would build. The first application, the first methodology, which is efficiency methodology, is okay for any mundane task, automation, or a recommendation engine, which is not very critical. So those kind of applications. The second approach needs to be taken when one wants to make our lives better, our knowledge grow, and our expertise grow, and we are going to take critical mission critical kind of decisions or high risk decisions when we take. So these two approaches is not very well laid out in the public space, but now there is more talk and discussions around this topic. And I'm sure that in times to come, we would know the difference between these two methodologies, and we would be able to choose the right methodology when we build these applications in times to come. Yeah.
This visual here is really on my mind at the moment, and Dr. Samba, because as an organization, and it's only a very low risk example, right? So hence why we can experiment with what I'm about to say. You know, I have a marketing team, and I have a lot of stuff in here, and across my notes and the information we're sharing here, and I provide that data to the marketing team, which they've been running through an AI to give me crystallized insights and synthesizing broad bits of knowledge into articles and stuff that I can take from a broad, I do 1,000 of these meetings a year, actually. So literally, I've seen 1,000 people in the past 12 months, either conferences where there's been a group of us or me on my own, and I love it. It's actually my superpower to do that, and I love it. We then, so that's on the efficiency. They've been writing articles, they've been reproducing it for me as content, which I've been then trying to consume, and it's still all back at the house, right? By the way, and one of the things that I've struggled with is overlaying tone of voice, intent. Not just replaying the word, but delivering it as we run it through. The way that we do it is we'll take a transcript from like this. I'll download it into Word, and then we'll take the Word transcript and we'll put it through ChatGPT, go through a process of filtering. And I want to know, what should I have learned in that 1 hour of time that I've spent with Dr. Samba? What's the insight?
Yep.
If you look on LinkedIn, for us, we just did our first one of these last week. It's like, what's the key messages in that amount of time? So one of the areas I'm struggling with is, again, tone of voice, making sure it's interpreted right? Not just producing any content, but deep, rich content, and not just because for the sake of it, but it's because I want to help leaders make better decisions. I want to really get to the point of what, like a leader like you, what they're trying to say. And so this human effectiveness piece that you're talking about, I'm a rookie, but I am onto it and I'm into it, and I can only imagine in high risk scenarios how the advantages that can be brought for decision making. It's really, really fun, and I wish I could. In talking to people like you, it'd be interesting to synthesize your knowledge base and absorb it in a fast, crystallized way, because there's so much. I mean, I read. I had a medical device business before this, and trying to access global knowledge through white papers was so hard. And it's hard to know which ones are right as well. But because I'm stimulated by that, I'm stimulated by the knowledge. So this slide really sings out to me. It really I can see efficiency for my marketing team producing content, but it's not enough. It has to be effective as well as efficient. And I can't wait for that. The question that's on my mind is about the best platforms for that. You may or may not have seen one of my other interviews recently. I was interviewing a company that's doing a customer success AI platform for effectiveness, not just efficiency. There's it's an interesting exploration. Anyway, I feel like I got on a bit of a rant on a soapbox there, Dr. Samba, because it's such a powerful space. Okay.
If I can just add one statement here.
Please, I literally have all day. I can take hours.
It is important to realize when we build an algorithm or a solution, we need to understand, are we building it for efficiency or effectiveness, right? Many times when we build it, we don't get it very clearly. So that's why it is important to understand and also question before we embark on building any solution. Are we going to build it for efficiency, or is it going to be for effectiveness? The methodologies that we would adapt need to be completely different depending on this objective. right? So many times we don't get it right, and then we need to do course correction somewhere along the line, and it may be costly. We may have wasted some time, and it may not be meeting the full objective because the design itself was not fully correct to start with.
So are we building the algorithm for efficiency or effectiveness to ask that question up front? Otherwise, that we're not going to get the output that we require.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay. For anybody that's watched this, Dr. Samba, I mean, if they can reach out to me and I'll make an informal connection. Are there any areas of interest that you would like people to, have a brain conversation with about this type of stuff? Are there any particular things that you want to hear about, or have people offer you insight in? Is there anything that comes to mind for that sort of thing?
Yep. Again, I'm also learning. Right. It doesn't. I don't think that I have all the answers, but it is an interesting space to be in, where we have a share of knowledge, and also we kind of understand each other's perspective and develop methodologies and so on. So it's going to be a very interesting, I would say, a decade coming, at least from now on, because whatever we have seen in AI is very nascent. We haven't seen the full scope of what it can do for us as humans. So the next decade or so is going to be the decade of AI, where we are going to kind of learn about it, and also we can share with it whatever we know, so that together we develop a powerful system of solutions that's going to enrich humans as a whole, right? So that is what I'm eagerly looking forward to. And also, I'm also looking at learning from everyone around, and also contribute to whatever little I know, so that we as a society can learn better and also adapt to this technology in a less stressful manner.
Yeah, that's probably the key point, isn't it? Hopefully all my dystopian storybooks are disproven. And we do adopt to it in a less stressful way. Okay, thank you for your time. I can't wait for our next conversation on these things. I feel like, as I say, I'm deeply motivated to absorb as much as possible and synthesize it into something meaningful. I'd love to share whatever comes out of this as I run it through our systems and processes. I'll share it with you to see where that takes us. But I'm going to press pause on this recording now, and then I'll hold on.
One last statement from me. Sorry for that.
Please,
I also want to reiterate that whatever I shared today is purely my own personal views. I don't represent any organization or any affiliation, just my own thoughts only. So I don't represent any organization, right? So that's the disclaimer I would like to share. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Got it. Thank you.